and welcome to Sport This Morning. I'm Cecilia Morgan.
It's good to have you join us once again to talk sports. I'm Austin Okonakwa, and I will begin the show still celebrating Nigeria's under-19 cricket team that went to South Africa to not just play cricket, but also qualify into Division 1 of cricket in Africa. The junior Yellow Greens defeated Sierra Leone by 133 runs to emerge Division 2 champions and also solidify their place in Division 1. We'll keep celebrating them, Cecilia.
Absolutely worth celebrating, which is really a cool one for them. So March 2019, we'll be joining the likes of Namibia, Kenya, Uganda, Sierra Leone, Tanzania, and of course,
the big boys.
Yeah, the big boys division. That's what it's all about. Also, the program talking about Eimba. Back home today, they will be hosting Kaya Brazzaville, and it's going to be the first time they'll be playing a game at the stadium after more than 2 years.
Wow, awesome. The fans in Aba, they cannot wait to see their darling Eimba come back home to play. And they've launched a new stadium. The ex-internationals played ex-Eimba players. They loved it. But today is the real business when they take on Kara Brazzaville. We'll continue to monitor that one. Let's go to the United States of America, talk about the U.S. Open. The guys that we expect to power on, they're still going through. Djokovic, Federer, they are still powering on at the U.S. Open. We know that the U.S. Open comes with so much upset, but Cecilia, with these guys, there's no touching them in this round.
No touching them at all. I mean, it was easy for Roger Federer, but Djokovic, when he came back from brink to survive the onslaught. But the most important thing is he joins the likes of Rafael Nadal, Stan Wawrinka, and the big boys in the second round. So he didn't suffer what Simona Halep got.
But you know, you just wonder what Simona Halep will be thinking, what she's going through. And look, the competition just started. But you don't have such a bad day. And look, when it happens to big players as that, then Djokovic, Federer, the guys we're talking about, Stan Wawrinka, Zverev, they'll say, no, look, this cannot happen to us. So it just makes everybody sit uptight.
Yeah, and that's why Federer is saying that, look, he survived the opening round, which is a key for him. We'll start off with him. He survived, not really survived, yeah, he had a breezy, a cool one past Nishioka, getting into the second round of the U.S. Open. Knowing Federer well, a champion, always a champion. But then right here, he knew what he wanted. 6-2, 6-2, 6-4. 1 hour, 52 minutes. He was done. No time to waste at all.
Federer, who is the second seed at the U.S. Open, broke the Japanese left-hander in the opening game of the one-sided encounter. That's what it is Roger Federer playing.
The temperature was burning.
There you go. And from there, he never looked back.
That's all.
And everybody else was complaining about the weather. And when we play tennis for over an hour with a very difficult weather, then that's very difficult to say.
That's difficult indeed. And that's why Roger Federer was really happy that he survived that onslaught. And he hinted about, well, he will soon retire.
But his next opponent is the Frenchman, Benaper, who is a bit decent in his own way, but I'm not saying I'm expecting any upsets. I love to see upsets, but I'm not expecting any. But with what Roger Federer has seen playing the Japanese guy, he would go into that one and say, look, I need to do the same thing, get the business done, and get to the next round.
And just make sure he finishes in 3 straight sets so that he doesn't have to stress himself, because we are actually tipping him to, okay, win this one and just say goodbye to tennis. Let's hear from him.
Very happy to be back in New York, healthy. Last couple of years have been difficult, so it's nice to be back, feeling really good. I'm happy I never stumbled at the first hurdle. Almost time to retire, but not yet. So I'm happy. I'm happy I played well tonight.
Yeah, you know what that is, God, G-O-D. It's the God of tennis, right?
Well, did you just hint that retirement is
almost, he said almost time, but not yet. So, I mean, that hint, it tells you a whole lot that his body is telling him, like, look, guy, it's time. But then maybe after the U.S. Open, if he wins this, I'm sure Australian Open, we might just hear maybe a huge, big press conference that Roger Federer will come and say, okay, I'm calling it quits.
Imagine not talking about Roger Federer, you talk about
I don't want to think about it.
Tennis.
I don't want to think about it right now because let's not think about
Particularly that last year, him and Rafael Nadal rolled back the years. And so we're thinking, so if they
4
can,
Grand Slams, they shared it.
there you go. So if they can still play tennis that good, then let's still have them for 5 more years. We're not greedy. Because they've given tennis everything.
You're greedy. I think I want to see Novak Djokovic. The way he's coming on right now has been cool, and that's the person we're talking about next. I mean, Djokovic has been fantastic. I mean, it's not easy for a player to actually go through series of injuries, surgery, and coming back and be good. Now, in this one, he struggled a bit. I mean, the second set, I thought he was done. But knowing a Djokovic, I mean, recently he's been known to, like, go into the brink and coming back. And this time around, he did it. 6-3, 3-6, 6-4, 6-love. He lost that second set, 3-6. And I'm like, this is Djokovic, what's happening? And the guy is playing, well, you would say, it's just one of those guys, Martin Fucsovics. So I'm like, it's not supposed to be that difficult, seeded sixth in this tournament. But then when you are playing under a temperature that's about 30 degrees Celsius, it tells you a whole lot.
And with the
more
way
than
it's
that,
celebrated,
you know
Cecilia, you know it truly survived his scare. And when you play tennis and get frustrated to the point of breaking your rackets,
losing that second set,
there's something is really wrong.
He even had to call for medical after losing that second set. Was like, what's wrong with me? Needed to check it out. No, but then coming back and taking it, so it's a huge one for him. So he didn't have to struggle so badly, especially in the final set. 6-love, cool one.
But could it be the weather? Yes, it passed 30 degrees Celsius,
so
but
it's hot.
That's a champ we're talking about. That's Novak Djokovic. They expect the entire attributes, qualities of a champ, and you said
he got it.
He got it, but
on the brink, came back.
Break your rackets for Fucsovic that we barely talk about in tennis.
You know what it means? You've taken the first set 6-3, easy. You're thinking, okay, next one, I'm going to wrap this up in 3 sets. And all of a sudden, you're down 6-3.
But he didn't buy the guys to get to the US. The guy's also there to win.
There's some players you just look at, okay, let me watch some of his games. I think I can take this one out in the opening room. So when it not happened, you're like, what's happening to me? So I think sometimes most of these tennis players, they'll tell you that the reason why they do that is like they're pouring the frustration on the rackets.
But sometimes that's all your next opponent needs to see and then work. Because a lot of times, Celia, I would say that it's psychological, you know, and the things you do on the court really matter. So you saw the way he celebrated after winning the first set 6-love. He said, no, this is Novak Djokovic.
This is Novak Djokovic. I came back. Now, talking about those guys know how to break rackets very well. I mean, Nick Kyrgios is another player. He can do that a lot. This time he sweated out, but he just needed, 4 sets also to get past Radu Albert. 7-5, 2-6, 6-4, 6-2. I mean, the sun, the heat and everything is on them, but somehow when you are a champion and when you know what's at stake in this one, you just want to put on that energy and see how you can, you know, get it above him. The guys from Moldova, fighting back to actually take a set off him is huge.
Look, when you play the guys that are regular and get all the mentions in the media, and you know, Albert looks at it and said, they've not really talked about me this year, and I'm going to go against Nick Kyrgios. I can frustrate him, I can push him, you know, I can make him give us those bad boy moves, you know. But I hate the fact that in the early rounds, everyone is complaining about the weather. Yes, it's scorching and all. When it rains, they also complain. When it's too cold, they complain, you know. So I want to see that player that will come to the court, do business, and then go home.
Federer did it.
That's right. Well, he also
complained about it.
He also complained about the weather. But after Nick Kyrgios, we expected it, but good win for him also. We'll continue to monitor. Let's see how far he can go.
Yeah, 25 aces. That was huge for him. Talking about young players, Alexander Zverev, you mentioned him earlier and all that. So him too, in just 95 seconds, he was done with his own.
Talk about
a lucky loser against Peter Polanski, 6-2, 6-1, 6-2. Talk about business. 95 minutes. He was done.
He struck the ball well, as we know him, and then, you know, Zverev is all about sustaining the momentum. He's been consistent in the last 2 years, and that's what we're talking about. So we're looking at him and say, this guy can easily break into the top 4, you know. But sometimes it's just unlucky he meets the guys that he cannot beat. But with this, so look, this is not a name that should scare me. And so in 95 minutes, they did the business, they complain about the weather. 3 sets straight, and then it's done. It's
done. I mean, he's my favorite right now. Okay, too soon, right? Let's talk about Maria Sharapova. A shaky start she had in the U.S. opening round, but the good thing is she's in the business. I mean, Remember the lady she played? This lady talking about a Swiss veteran, Schneider. She retired some time ago in 2011, came back 2015. She is 39 years old and 8 months. And the thing about her is the fact that she was actually able to push Maria Sharapova in the second set that she had to go into a tie break. So the game had to go into a tie break and then 7-6. So, I mean, wrapping the first set in 40 minutes, but then the second one, Sharapova leading and she coming back at 39, the oldest player to make it into the main draw. It's not easy.
That's right, and so she brought experience into the second round. Yes, Maria Sharapova is favorite, but I've been in tennis for quite some time, though not as consistent as these other guys, but let me get something out of it, and that's what Patty did. And if you look at it, the way Maria Sharapova also celebrated, it would have been, what's going to happen? Because we're going to say the oldest player that made it to the main draw now sent Maria Sharapova home. So,
that would have been a bigger story.
So she has said, no, I have to fight back, and she did, and then she got it. But that's a good story. Shout out to Patty, you know, playing tennis at 39.
I'm going to see Serena Williams playing into 40 from the way she's going. Oh, no, even Venus, her sister, she's almost 38, so that tells you a whole lot. These ladies are not ready to leave the sport early at all. Now, talking about players, I mean, another one, Karina Wozniacki. Yes, okay, she did the business also. Angelique Kerber also did the business. For Karina Wozniacki, she struggled a little bit against another player. Remember her, Samantha Stossel? She actually won, she's won a Grand Slam before, but somehow injuries and all that, she just nosedive. And right now, she's back into WTA tour, but then, well, she had to face Karina Wozniacki. 6-3. 6-2.
Yeah,
easy.
It was straight, but we know Stossel and how she's good with the baseline, you know. But I mean, it is what it is. Caroline Wozniacki is favorite, but it's good that these old ladies are still saying, look, we can play tennis. We'll come out there, we have some fun. Stossel, the Australian, has over the years shown that she can put some good competition. She's not advancing, but we're still talking about
her. Angelique Kerber also dispatching her opponent 7-6, 6-3. We saw that talking about playing against Margarita Gasperin. It was easy for her also. So all these top seeds are still there. No upsets, Austin, sorry.
No upsets, and we know why. Simona Halep said, look, guys, learn from me. When you need to do the business, get it done.
Do it quickly.
But I know we'll start seeing upsets from tomorrow, Cecilia.
So you still can't wait for that?
We'll see more upsets tomorrow. It's the US Open.
Okay, we'll see. But I can't wait for the Williams sisters actually to play together. Just one more game between each other. Third round, they would be meeting. Let's go to Donald Trump.
And Donald Trump, the U.S. president, of course.
When you see him, you love him.
Hosted Gianni Infantino. Cecilia, after the United States, Mexico, and Canada won that bid, we know that, yes, football, but there they call it soccer.
Soccer, yes.
Because don't touch the American football. But Gianni Infantino presented President Trump with his very own red card during the meeting at the White House. Infantino playfully suggested the card used to eject players from the match would come in handy in Trump's contentious dealing with the media.
Yes.
Infantino and U.S. soccer president Carlos Cordero. So, look, a lot of truth is said in jest, and that's what
happens. He's happy with it. I love that red card aspect, red and yellow. I mean, he presented this to him. It's a gift for him. So when he presses on your neck, you can just say, okay, I don't want you. Give the red card. And trust Donald Trump. He loves things like this. Let's hear from him now.
We have won a very important event, the World Cup in 2026, and we'll be hosting it along with Mexico and Canada. And it's a very special event. I think it's probably certainly one of the biggest and maybe the biggest sporting event in the world. And soccer's come such a long way. Soccer is a game, I guess you call it football. Yeah. But over here, maybe at some point they'll change the name. I'm not sure. But we'll see.
We can negotiate that.
It's working very well either way. But I just want to thank Gianni Infantino for being here. He's the president of FIFA and a highly respected man. In fact, when my son heard he was going to be here, he said, Dad, I'd like to meet him. So you're pretty famous, right?
Yeah.
Pretty important and pretty famous. He likes, my son Barrett loves soccer. And soccer has to be one of the fastest growing sports in the world, and the job you've done is really fantastic, Gianni. So thank you very much. So let's see, 2026, I won't be here. I won't be here. Maybe they'll extend the 10 because I know they'd love to see something. Because if they don't extend, the media is going to be very boring. It's going to be very boring. They'll all be out of business, I guess. But we will be there, and it'll be a very, very important and a very special event. I think also having it in the United States is very important.
It is.
For soccer.
It is.
Especially in light of the fact that soccer's done so well.
Yeah, and it's growing.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you,
I appreciate it very much.
Thank you, President.
Thank you,